Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 66 of the Law Firm Marketing Mastery Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Christopher Small, and before I get to today's topic, as usual, I want to talk a little bit about what's been going on this past week. And there's been quite a bit to report on. I don't know if I've talked much about this on the podcast, but I have been kind of incorporating a new thing I'm referring to as the ultimate sales call script. And it's this sales meeting process that I've put together and mapped out. And I've included it in the Law Firm Confidential in the membership site. And then I've been implementing it myself. And I got another referral from a chiropractor for a personal injury case this week from that process. And so I thought that was pretty cool, and I wanted to share with everybody because it's something that's been working, and it's one of those things where it's really low cost. All it takes is putting in a little bit of work and putting in a little bit of time, buying basically 2 or 3 cups of coffee for somebody, and then just being willing to ask for referrals. And it's a system that's kind of been working. So I'm really excited about that and happy about that. And I'm kind of proud of myself for getting out there and introducing myself to some new people, taking some chances, and coming out on the other side. So that was real cool. What else going on? As most of you, or well, not most of you, as many of you probably know, registration for Law Firm Confidential opened and closed last week. I had it open for a few short days to give people on my list an opportunity to get in for a really low price with a really great deal that included a free, as a bonus, a free 30-minute consultation with me to just kind of talk about where they're at with their firm and where they want to be and where they want to go. So that opened and closed. If you're ever interested in getting in, you want to make sure to get on my list. Just go to lawfirmmarketingmastery.com. There's an opt-in right there at the top. You can get my top free 5 lead generation resources, and then that'll get you on my weekly newsletter, and then you can you'll get notified whenever we do anything with any of the other content. So and you're probably going to want to do that if you're interested at all, because one of the things I've been thinking about is pulling out this ultimate sales script and making it into a separate little product that people can get into if they're not interested in really getting into the whole membership site. It is really something that can make you a lot of money. It's easy to implement, and it'd be worth every penny. So think about that. The other thing I did, I'm starting a new podcast for my firm. It's called Successful in Seattle, and I had my first interview for that podcast this week. It's not open. I haven't published the podcast yet or anything like that. It's kind of helpful sometimes to get some interviews lined up. I want to release 1 a week, so I'd like to have some in the hopper so I don't have to scramble every week to find somebody to interview. And so starting to build those up, and it was a cool interview. Basically what I'm doing is trying to interview people in Seattle that have reached some level of success, and that's defined differently for different people, but it's a lot of fun. We talk about struggles, we talk about success, obviously, and we talk about the path that people take to get to a place they really like, a place they really want to be, a place where they've reached their goals, and the sky's the limit for these people. So that's really great. And by the way, if you can hear some sounds in the background, I got Piper, my dog, out here with me. I'm out in the backyard, Corona in hand. It's about 75 degrees, and had to come out in the patio and record this episode tonight because it's just too nice to be inside. So anyway, I'm really excited to be here. I hope you're excited to be here too. And now let's get to today's topic: overcoming fear. Okay, so this today's topic, I've talked about before, but I think it's something that really you could talk about this forever, really, if you wanted to. And overcoming fear is one of the biggest hurdles to reaching success with your law firm, to reaching success with life, right? I mean, just think if you see the pretty girl at the end of the bar and you're too scared to go up and talk to her, you're never going to get the girl, and if you're too scared to take chances and take some calculated risks with your law firm, then again, you're going to miss out on some big opportunities. And there are a couple stories that or a couple things that happened that prompted me to want to talk about this. I think it's a topic that we need to touch on every once in a while, just to remind you all that, fear is okay, that it's something that just needs to be recognized and moved past. And that's something that everyone experiences, even myself. And I experienced it this week. So I've been doing these chiropractor meetings. Basically, part of what I do is it's a 2-meeting process, but I reach out to these chiropractors cold, right? I don't have any connection with them, and set a meeting with them, learn a little bit about their business, and then set another meeting, do some things, and then basically they end up sending me referrals. It's a pretty cool process. I've been meeting with these chiropractors, and it's something that's definitely outside of my comfort zone. I'm generally outgoing, and I like to meet new people, but it's tough going to somebody's office, walking in, meeting them cold, and trying to make that connection. And it's something that, like I said, I think I'm okay at it, but it's definitely not something that's comfortable for me. And it was real funny because I had I think Wednesday last week, I had 2 meetings on the same day. Went to the first meeting, no problem. Met with the guy, and the meeting was great. It was awesome. It went all according to plan. And then it was time to go for the second meeting, and I drove down to the other chiropractor's office, and I was there. I was like literally at his office. I was parking, and then I was overcome with this anxiety, this anxious feeling, and I didn't know where it came from, but something in my mind would tell me, hey, you know what, you don't have to do this. You can just keep driving. It's probably not going to work out. Why waste the time? It's not going to happen. And I drove around the block, I think like 2 or 3 times while I was having this internal conversation with myself about whether or not I should park and go talk to this guy. And I'd never met the guy before, but he seemed nice enough. We'd exchanged, several emails to set this meeting, and there was nothing in the conversation at all that led me to believe that it wouldn't be a fruitful meeting. And so, but at the same time, like I said, I had this anxiety, I had this fear of going in there for whatever reason. It was totally irrational and totally unfounded, but it was still there, and I had to figure out how to deal with it. And I did. Actually, I set the meeting. I went in. The meeting went great. He was a great guy, and we made a great connection. And I think it's somebody that's I'm gonna do business with for a long time. But there was that fear there, and I had to get over it. And at that exact moment, I wrote down a note on my phone to remember to talk about that for this week. So I wrote down this note on my phone. Remember this time, and talk about it and make it this week's podcast episode. The other thing that I wanted to talk about that was relevant was we had a Skype meeting today with some of the members of Law Firm Confidential. I had a kind of an impromptu meeting with some of the gold members, and the point of the meeting was for them to basically do a little small mastermind where we talk about some issues, some frustrations that they're having, and how we move past them. And really at the end of the day, what all their frustrations boiled down to were that fear that prevents you from taking the action that you need to take. For one, it was about taking the step and getting some help, some administrative help, and then for another, it was really taking the step to do some of the things that I was doing with this meeting structure. He was having trouble coming up with kind of value propositions for his referral partners when he wouldn't be able to refer business himself necessarily right away. He didn't have the chiropractor leads coming into his office to refer out, and he was wondering how he was going to be able to provide the value that he wanted to provide to chiropractors without those leads. And that basically froze him into inaction. So he wasn't doing anything because he couldn't get over this step. He was afraid of being rejected for not being able to send leads immediately to these referral partners. And so we talked about that and how to overcome that, and how to beat those problems, and how to provide additional value other than just referrals, and how to kind of reframe what value means to everyone. But at the end of the day, it all comes back to fear. So I thought this would be a great time to kind of talk about that, and to kind of let you know that you are not alone kind of in feeling this fear, no matter where you're at or what you're doing, no matter what stories you're coming up with to kind of stop the action, no matter what you're doing to remain safe in your cocoon, in your fuselage, to use an Arjan reference. No matter what you're doing for that, bust out of it, okay? And today we're going to talk about some ways to overcome that fear, to get over that fear. Some of the things that I use to do that, and some of the things that many people use. I mean, these things aren't things I've just come up with on myself. They're things that I've learned from other people how to do and have implemented myself. So they're great. All right, so let's just get right into it. The first thing I think to understand when you're talking about fear is to really understand that the feelings that you are feeling are really biology at work, right? And the biology that is happening is in the lizard brain. If you're involved in PI at all, and you're involved in, if you ever read David Ball's Damages, I think he talks about the lizard brain. And the lizard brain is basically that part of your brain that goes all the way back in time, to when we were just apes, running around just trying to survive. The lizard brain was that thing that kept you alive. It was that thing that said, fight or flight. It was that thing that, told you it was time to go, time to get out of here. And it kept us alive. The problem is, as we've evolved, and as we've evolved and carried this prefrontal cortex that allows us to do all of these executive functions that we can now do, is that we still have that lizard brain inside of us, and it still tries to control us. It still wants to keep us safe. But the problem is that we don't have those same risks that we used to have. And so what's happened is the brain has shifted, and now any kind of new activity, anything that's out of the ordinary, is perceived by this lizard brain, by our lizard brain, as being dangerous, as being suspect, as being something to avoid. Okay, that's why changing jobs can be so tough. That's why people don't like change, right? That's their lizard brain telling them, hey, you know what? Something's not right here. We better fix this. So understanding that, and understanding that the feelings that you're feeling, that they're not specific to you, right? That they are part of our human biology, and that really step one is just understanding and accepting that that's going on, recognizing it when it's going on. So for example, when I was driving blocks around the chiropractor's office, I wasn't really trying to psych myself up to go in necessarily. What I was doing was having an internal conversation with myself, and I was saying, look, I know that this fear in my brain right now, in my head, is unfounded. I know that it's being caused by something inside my lizard brain. I need to get over this, and I need to go forward, because there's nothing to fear about this situation. Okay, so just sometimes understanding and being able to recognize what's going on in the moment helps to defray the situation. Okay, it helps to kind of lessen those feelings of anxiety and do what's necessary to move past them. Okay. All right, so that's kind of the first thing. The second thing that you need to do is, when you start feeling this fear, when you start feeling the sense of dread, this anxiety rush over you, it's important to sometimes allow that feeling to run its course. What I mean by that is, it's okay to say, okay, fine. What am I afraid of? I'm afraid of this meeting going bad. And then to say, okay, well, what happens if this meeting goes bad? And then what happens after that? And what happens after that? And take the core, whatever you're afraid of doing, whatever's coming up that you're afraid of, and take it out to its worst possible case scenario, right? Its worst case scenario. And I think as you do that, you'll see that in reality, Piper says hello. So, but anyway, what you'll see is as you carry this out, that it's not that bad, right? I mean, even if you're thinking about starting a law firm and you're freaking out, at the very worst case scenario, you just have to go get a different job. No one dies. You're not homeless. You just have to go work for somebody. That's not fun, but that's probably what you'd be doing anyway if you weren't trying to open your own firm. So, that's the second thing is to recognize this fear and then carry it out to its worst case scenario and see how bad it's really not. All right. And at that time, when you see how bad it really isn't, then you really have no choice but to hopefully push forward and go do what you need to do. All right. And then the third thing is, once you've done those two things, the third thing really is to hope for the best, right? Be optimistic, but then also prepare for success, right? There's a big difference between, expecting to win a jury trial and doing nothing, and expecting to win the jury trial and working your ass off to make sure that you're the most prepared person in the courtroom when you walk in the door. Same goes for, starting and running a law firm. When you're building your business, when you are marketing your firm, it's important to prepare for those things. You want to be optimistic that they're going to work out, but you want to also be ready for success. You want to create that success, and the more you prepare, the more you work, the more likely you're going to see the success that you want. Now, there's a word of caution there too. You don't want to over prepare and never take action either. At some point you need to pull the trigger and get out there and do something. But, just being optimistic and just going for it, may lead you to an even higher sense of anxiety because you're not going to feel prepared for what you're ready to do. So that third thing is hope for the best, right? Prepare for success. And then last but not least is just simply a quote. It's a quote, though, that drives a lot of successful people, I think. It's something that eventually allowed me to pull the trigger and go do this chiropractor meeting. And I can imagine that some of you are sitting there right now thinking, what's the big deal? Stupid chiropractor meeting. Why don't you just go do it? Why all the hullabaloo? Why all this drama? But I can tell you it was real. The anxiety really was there. And I literally did drive around the block a couple times trying to psych myself up to go to this meeting. And for absolutely no reason. But this fourth thing is it's the title of the book, actually, too. It's just Screw It, Let's Do It. Right? You know who that's from? I'll give you a minute to guess. Okay. If you said Richard Branson, then you're correct. Richard Branson, he founded Virgin Everything. And he's got his biography is called Screw It, Let's Do It. Or Screw It, Just Do It. Something like that. But the point is, throughout his whole life, whenever he was faced with any of this anxiety, whenever he was faced with opportunities that seemed scary and that many people would turn down, he just said, screw it, let's do it. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to face my fear. I'm going to run head on into this thing and just see what happens. Because again, he was able to understand basically that there's nothing in life that has a worst case scenario that's bad enough for him to say no. And he's done some death defying things too. He did some hot air balloon travels in the upper atmosphere that literally could have killed him. But he said, screw it, let's do it, and face his fear and just went for it. And I would encourage you to do the same thing. So overcoming fear really boils down to you making a conscious decision that you're going to just go for it. You're going to accept whatever happens. You're going to give it your all. You're going to hope for the best and prepare for success. And at the end of the day, screw it. Let's do it. So, sit down for a minute, take 5 seconds, think about what it is that you're scared of. Think about what it is that you're making excuses for not doing. And this week, just do that thing, okay? Get over that hump. Take that step. Take that chance. Make that phone call. Send that email. Design that website. Whatever you got to do. Okay, so that's it for this week. I would love to hear in the comments what you did, what fears you have, what fears you've overcome. And I'd like to hear how you did those. And, the more you share, the more you give, the more you're going to get, so please leave a comment, send me an email, chris@lawfirmmarketingmastery.com. I've got a Facebook page, facebook.com/lawfirmmarketingmastery. And, I'd love to hear from you. One last thing I want to remind you is that, I do have a free resource on the website. That's my top 5 lead generation tools. To get that, just go to lawfirmmarketingmastery.com. You can't miss it. It's right at the top of the page. In your name and email address, you'll get those tools. You'll also get on my weekly newsletter, so you can you'll get an email about these podcasts whenever they're released. You'll also get updates and information about anything that I'm throwing out there. And, I'm biased, excuse me, obviously, but I think it's great information. And my number one goal really is to share everything that I'm doing so that you can use it and be successful yourself. So get out there, overcome that fear, take that step, do that thing that you need to do. Okay, just get out there and do it. And have a great week. And I can't wait to talk to you next time. Okay, bye-bye.